Welcome, Warriors. Another video of Whittier Warriors Ask Coach video series. This is what to eat between races and track meets. Been asked this question a few times the last few days. We kind of avoided this to some degree because we haven't had a ton of track meets the last couple of years, but now we're having more regular track meets. Kids are running not just one race, but they're running 2 days, and in some cases that same day they're running 2 events. And potentially more. It's always possible, right? We rarely do that, but at least between the two, the question is, what do you eat? What do you do? What's best? That's going to vary, but we'll go through that really quick in the short video to answer that question. By the way, there's another video related to what you should eat before a race. We won't get into all of that, but I'll overview a little bit of that. Watch the other video in terms of that, in terms of like the night before and so on. For now, racing, right? In general, before any race, right, whether it's 1 or 2 races, you should top off glycerin, which is basically your carbs, right? Make sure your energy levels are high, and that includes what you eat. So again, getting up in the morning, eating nothing before a race, usually not a good idea. Believe it or not, even when you sleep, kids are burning off a ton of calories, and they're burning off a lot of those stores of energy. So they need to get in the habit of eating, banana, half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, probably heavier on the jelly than the peanut butter. We want to avoid a ton of protein right before racing, but a little bit is fine as well. Right off the bat, I'm going to say don't try anything new. So some of you have read articles on Runner's World and Runner's Digest or whatever magazines or websites there is, and they'll have, hey, try this gel, try this goo, try this special energy drink or protein drink or so on. Not saying that some of those are not good, some of them are, some of them not, but have the kids try that out for practice, see how their stomach feels, see how it works, see, in general, if it's going to be something good. If you try something new right before an important race, it may backfire, and I've seen it happen. It's bad. So in general now, they're out there, they run their first race. Racing absolutely is going to lower their energy, right? Lower glycemic levels, which is again carbs and energy that's stored within the system. Will it deplete it? No, we don't run any race or any event. We're not running a 10,000 meter or a half marathon. They're not going to deplete their energy levels down to 0%, but they won't be at 100%, right? They'll be at 80, they'll be at 60, they'll be maybe at 50, depending on where they started off. And making sure to top those off so that full capacity is important to do so, right? So now, of course, what we do and what we eat and what we shouldn't eat, that's going to depend a lot on how many time we have between races, right? Is it a half an hour? Is it an hour? Is it 4 or 5 hours, which some of you have already experienced? It can be that long. So keep in mind, this is I'm going to go off let's say this is a 2-hour rule. It's going to vary greatly, and I'll explain that along the way. Let's say it's about 2 hours between races. We definitely need to do a cool down. I've heard parents say, Coach, why are the kids running more? They just ran a race and now you're getting them more tired. No, they need to cool down. If they simply run a race and then sit there for 2 hours, they are going to accumulate a ton of lactic acid, a ton of byproducts sitting in their legs. They will get tight, they will get heavy legs, and they will not perform well in the second race. So we need to make sure they cool down. If they run to you and avoid that cool down, please send them back. The other thing we do is and we haven't done it all the time, but we've done it before, and we will do more of it, is we have to get kids over to a fence or a wall or something where they can literally just put their legs up. So they're laying on the ground and their legs are up against the wall or the fence. So their feet are way higher than their heart. And the idea of that is to increase blood flow, but specifically blood flow away from the legs, which is kind of the opposite of what we want during a race, right? When all that blood, and oxygen is flowing through the legs. Now we want them to get it away from the legs so that it takes all that byproduct, all that lactic acid away from the muscles that they need later on. So they don't have to sit there for an hour. We're talking 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. Put on their music, hang out with their friends, put their legs up. Good thing to do. So again, cool down first, then go do that. And even while they're doing that, I know it's probably not super convenient, but they should begin to restore their energy, meaning, again, fruit, rice, Gatorade, water. Hydrate is super important, by the way. I won't mention it because we're focused on food, but hydrate all the time, before races, after races, in between races. Always hydrate, but they'll need some Gatorade for those electrolytes that they need, the sugar, glycogen, their carbs. Fruit is really light. It's not going to be heavy. You don't want to eat anything heavy, hamburger, hot dogs, pizza, none of that in between races for sure. rice, potatoes, things like that, a lot of heavy on carbs. Not a ton. Remember, they lowered their energy by a little bit. We're just kind of topping it off is all we're doing. So think of it that way. They're not going to benefit by a full meal, at least not within a 2-hour range. Now, here's where the differences come in. If you know it's going to be 4 or 5 or 6 hours between races, whole different ballgame, right? They should immediately after that race, I mean, get a cool down in and immediately sit there while they're getting their legs up, or immediately after that. Eat pretty much a full meal, because if not, guess what? Now they're going possibly 2 hours before that race, 6 hours after. Now it's 8 hours of no eating and racing in between. That's not going to go well. So they need to eat a full meal, but again, still light, right? It doesn't mean they go get a hamburger or hot dog either, but they should be eating something. So it's going to vary. But again, we're working off 2 hours here, so it's going to be just some snacks to top off fuel, and that's it. If it's longer, go into a full meal, but it's still a light meal. That digests quickly. So you want nothing that's going to sit in their stomach. For example, a piece of steak, out of just reference, it takes 3 days to digest a piece of steak. It sits in your stomach for 3 days. So whereas something like a salad or a fruit salad or something will digest much, much quicker. Warm up again, right? Again, I know a lot of parents are like, Coach, you're making them run again, and then they got to race again. Yes, we do, because we need to get them warmed up, and that has nothing to do with how hot it is. I know a lot of these races, by the second race, it is hot, it is blistering hot out there, and you're dying in the stands. The kids, believe it or not, still need to warm up. Warming up has nothing to do with warming up their body temperature. We know they're warm already. It has more to do with warming up their muscles, warming up the blood flow. We're getting that heart rate up. So will it be a little less, a little lighter, a little less distance? Yes, probably if it's very hot, but we still need to get their blood, moving and their heart rate moving faster. So we will still do that. And of course, they run their second race, and then recovery, like any other race, whether it was 2 races in a day, 3 races in a day, or just a 1 day in a race, they need to recover. And so cool downs, rest and recovery. At this point, proteins and carbs. So we really are throwing in the protein there as well. It's a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 being the carbs, 1 being the protein. Some people will tell you 3-to-1. Either one works, right? The whole idea is that you don't need a ton of protein, but you do need some protein. You'll need more carbs. And again, that doesn't mean you go eat. And again, keep in mind, the kids are running a mile or 2 at the most in a race. They don't need 3 bowls of pasta. They don't need a whole large pizza by themselves. That they did not burn that kind of calories. They need just a good healthy meal with a combination of carbs and protein. Hydrate. They will be dehydrated after a race. They do need to hydrate all the time, but specifically there and right away. Now, parents, keep in mind, the quicker kids get to that carb and proteins, that meal, and they hydrate, the quicker they get their body back to where it should be, the quicker their body will recover. So for example, if kids sit there and stay at the meet for 5 more hours, just hanging out or cheering on their teammates, which we love, by the way, but they're not eating because, oh, we'll just wait, we'll go to eat afterwards, right? Well, then they fall asleep in the car, so they don't eat right when you get home, or whatever the situation may be. The longer they go without actually replenishing all of that into their body, the longer it takes for the body to recover, because it doesn't even start to recover. It has nothing to recover with. Torn up muscles, and every time they run, believe it or not, microscopic muscles get torn up. They need to go in there and find protein to then go fix those muscles. If it can't find available protein, it says, okay, I guess I'm not doing that right now. Or it can do this whole weird cannibal thing, but we won't get into that. And we mentioned cool down, rest and recovery. That's important too. It's hard because kids are busy. They're busier than we are these days. But after racing, they should rest. A nap in the car isn't a bad idea. They should take it easy while they replenish everything. And again, these kids are active. They'll get up and running real quick. But rest and recovery, sleep, all the other stuff we talk about applies, not just the day of a race, but any other day. So anyway, hopefully that helps. Keep the meals light. Don't try anything new. They do need something in between, not a lot though. And those warm-ups and cool downs in between, it seems like a lot of running, but it is important for them as well. All right, parents, thank you very much. Have a good day.